my name is Sarah, and we are at Burr Oaks Lake. It is located in Eagan, Minnesota, which is right behind my house, which is up through those trees. And this is the lake that I grew up on, but you can't actually swim in it because it's really gross, and I'll explain more later. But yeah, so we're gonna start walking down the path. Grew up walking and running and biking down this path, even though it's kind of rough, but makes for a good trail, I guess. There's always tons of birds chirping, tons of giant squirrels and bunnies. The bunnies are like bigger than any other bunnies I've ever seen. Lots of deer. We have coyotes that come into our yard sometimes even. One time we actually had a coyote pup come into our yard, and that was a little scary because then we saw the mom, and then that was a little worrisome. We have a lot of different kinds of trees, mainly oaks for the most part, but along the side where it's a little more swampy, we have a lot of cattails and everything growing in there. Also a lot of dandelions, tons of dandelions, but can't really see much of that now. One of the other biggest growing things in here would be buckthorn, and what is the other thing? I'm blanking on the name. Oh, sumac. Right here. Lots of sumac. It's all over. If you go this way, it's all over right there. If you go this way, it's all over up ahead, and it's all along the path. And if we go down the path a little bit more, the sumac is actually so big it looks like trees. So if you're allergic to sumac like my dad, he can't really walk over here. But we're gonna go this way. So a couple years ago, they ended up putting in a bridge because too many people fell into a little area of water that connected between this side of the lake and the other side of the lake. And too many people tried to cross when it was not quite solid on ice, and had a lot of accidents. So they ended up putting in a bridge up here, which is good because the water's gross anyways. There's a lot of scum, there's a lot of turtles that live in here because they like that kind of water. Lots of snapping turtles and painted turtles. As you can see, it's probably, it looks kind of like a pond because it's not as big as a lake should be, but it's considered a lake because they think it's too big to be a pond. I still think it's a pond though because you can't even swim in it. One of the things that I was gonna mention is the pond actually. So this past year, for when it was going to be freezing and everything, they weren't able to get the aeration system in, which is what they usually have going on to make sure that all of the fish are alive since it is such a small place. And so they usually have the aeration in there, but they weren't able to get it in on time. So we had dead fish like lining the shores, which was really sad. So there were lots of dead fish. So right now, there's usually a decent amount of fish, but there's not right now because of that. And another reason we don't have a lot of fishing out here is because there's lead in the lake, because there's a factory nearby that burns like batteries and different stuff, and it pollutes the lake. So sometimes in the winter time, we will have yellow snow, and it's not dog pee. So that's always fun. But we're gonna go this way. Oh, I should also mention, right under there, it's kind of, you can't really see it, but there's a little entrance for where a muskrat lives. So there's a muskrat den in there, and I think there's about 3 of them that live there. So that's pretty cool. So you see the muskrats kind of swimming along by here since it's kind of shallow. So you can usually see them swimming towards like the spring and summer and everything. So that's always really cool to go watch them build stuff onto their den and everything. I think think one of the coolest things that they did versus what it used to be like, this used to not be an open area because they didn't have the bridge over there. So this was all just woods, and so people would come and just try to find their way through here, and then they had some problem teenagers that would come in here and do bad things. So they ended up, because of the problem with the water and the bridge, and then because of that, they ended up clearing up all of this area, making it a path so people that live on that side of the lake could easily get this way, where there is a really big playground area, there's tennis courts, there's a baseball field. Right now there's a dog on the field, it looks like. So there's a lot of fun areas for the families, so it creates a better access through the water and through the woods to be able to come this way. So that's always really fun. So it's really cool because they maintain this area and keep it a really big field area. And I really love the fact that they've kept so much of the nature in it. They are not just demolish everything, they kept it nature oriented, and so they didn't lay down a full path over there or anything. They kept it dirt, which is really awesome, so it's not like they're just overtaking. I'm trying to think of what else to talk about. I think one of the other really cool things, this is kind of random, but if we kept walking this way for a really long time, we'd run into this house where this lady, she cared for a squirrel. This is a really funny story, actually. She cared for a squirrel when the mom had died because her dog killed the mom. So then she took care of the baby squirrel, and since then, that squirrel, like, she set it free and everything, and now all of the squirrels, which are actually pretty big, they all come and they eat, and she feeds them and everything in her backyard, and they come and they'll like sit on her lap and everything. Anyone else, they don't like them, but they all come and they visit her, which is kind of funny, and I think that's kind of cute, actually. So that's always a good story. So also, to add on to it, this is more recent that they've done this. They didn't used to have all of this stuff, but they are looking at expanding the pond, and they're looking at making it a better place and a better area for more recreation and more usage. So that's really exciting for all of the people that live around here, and so they're doing more of a water quality protection because of all of the different factors like the lead poisoning and not being able to get the filtration system in and such. So it's really cool that they're coming in and trying to make sure that the water quality is actually being protected, and so that we can fish in the pond. And so they're gonna start cleaning out the water, and then they're gonna repopulate it with more fish. So I think that's pretty awesome. So this side of the pond, so we're actually on the other side of the lake completely, which is kind of funny since we just kind of cut right through the middle. So on this side of the lake, they put in a path. I think mainly because they're so close to the houses. We're on the other side of the lake, it's more woods, so they kept it with just the grass and everything. So on this side, they don't see as much of the wildlife and different stuff like that, besides the squirrels and bunnies. So most of the wildlife is on the other side of the lake, where it has a lot more of the regular nature features, I guess you could say. So that's fun, because I like being on that side of the lake, so I get to see more animals and a lot of the different nature and wildlife. It's really fun because we even get like hummingbirds and different kinds of orioles and just like tons of different kinds of birds even at our feeders, where on this side I feel like we don't see as many of those. They mainly just have robins, cardinals, and I don't know, maybe like crows. So that's usually the only kinds of birds I see on this side of the lake. I didn't actually realize that till I just said that. But yeah, but this side of the lake is a lot more, I don't know, it's a lot more, what do you call it? Modernized, you could say, civilized, because they have a lot more of the neighborhood right next to the lake versus the other side. I think another cool thing about this area is it used to have a lot of poison ivy, but the whole entire like neighborhood and the parks department and different stuff like that, they've all like come together and like kind of cleared out most of the poison ivy so that people can go in and use it more. And so now we have a lot of wild raspberries and blackberries and different kinds of berries and stuff. So it's really cool that they've replaced some of the things that overgrow and take control of the nature, and they replace it with things that are really useful. And so it's been really cool to see how it's changed over the years, definitely. So yeah.